lovies, welcome back to my channel. This week's video is all about books that are gonna get you into reading. So you want to start reading but you have absolutely no idea where to start. You've seen everybody talk about all the books they're reading, having the best times, so many recommendations here, there and everywhere, and you're thinking, where the heck do I begin? Don't worry, I got you covered. This video is going to be a combination of recommendations of different genres, whether you are brand new to reading and you're wanting recommendations, or you want to try out a new genre, a genre that you've not tried before and you want a little ease in. This is what this video is all about. Everybody is going to want something slightly different, whether that be a thriller, a romance, a fantasy, just a book that's actually good, maybe a blend of genres, maybe a self-help genre. I have created a master list of books to get you into reading. Now these books are not going to be literature masterpieces. These are going to be recommendations based on good vibes, a good time, based on books that are going to make you feel all of the good things that you're wanting to feel. You guys know the drill. Grab yourselves a drink, let's get cozy and let's talk about books. If you're looking to dive into the world of romance and you're thinking, okay, I want a really good romance book and bonus points if it's a series, then of course we're going to be looking at the Chestnut Spring series by Elsie Silver. If it's one thing Miss Elsie Silver knows how to do, it's how to write a male main character. This is a series of currently 5 books and they are small town cowboy romances. The spice in these books are amazing, the men in these books are amazing, and the overarching storyline in these books is amazing. They are just purely a good time, so easy to read, so easy to get lost within. You're going to start with Flawless and then you're going to move on to the next books and you are going to inhale the entire series. And I'm already desperate to know who your favourite male main character is. Now if you're wanting a romance standalone that is entirely feel good, and in particular is going to make you feel like you are watching a 2000s kind of rom-com, you need to read First Time Caller by B.K. Borison. This is giving Sleepless in Seattle. You've got banter, you have got chemistry, and you have got a book that is going to sweep you off your feet. This is the kind of romance that's going to have you up until 2 a.m. reading because you cannot put it down. You've got a radio host, you've got a mechanic. Individually, they are incredible. Together, as a couple, absolute powerhouse. Super easy to read, super easy to laugh along with, to have a good time. It is every single feeling you could want from a romance and so much more. Now, if you are wanting a romance series that is gonna have you addicted, that's a little bit toxic, a little bit messy, the Magnolia Park series is an absolutely phenomenal place to start. Not only is this an incredible romance series, but it is also one of the most beautifully written romances I've ever experienced. And you can completely expect to be in pieces when you finish this, but also it's going to leave a lasting impression on your heart and soul, and you wouldn't have it any other way. This follows a group of friends who are known as the Box Set, and they're all kind of sleeping with each other. There's a lot of drama happening, there's a lot of toxicity happening, there's crossovers and friendships and betrayal and all that kind of stuff. And it is just a whirlwind, an absolute whirlwind, and truly what I would give to read this series again for the first time. Now if you know me, you know I'm an Emily Henry girly, so of course I'm going to include an Emily Henry recommendation in this video because Emily Henry is a fantastic doorway into romance, and once you start reading her books you're going to want to read every single one of them. The book that I think you should start off with from Emily Henry is Beach Read. So this is about 2 writers who go on vacation. They both have got writer's block. And so what they do is they agree to swap genres and write each other's story and see who will get published first. And if you want a masterclass in banter and chemistry that sizzles and feels electric, that's going to have you squealing, giggling, kicking your feet and having the very best time, this is ultimately it. Now, one of my personal favourite genres, as you guys know, is fantasy. And I have got a few recommendations to give you guys based on if fantasy is your first time. If you're like, oh my god, there is everybody and their dog is talking about fantasy at the moment. Where do I start? Where do I begin? This this is what I think. I personally think Fourth Wing is a brilliant place to start. This is adventure from the first page to the last. Your heart is going to be pounding when you read this book. This is basically about a war college where everybody is a dragon rider and the stakes are super, super high. So you've got fantasy elements like magic, like dragons, but then you've also got a blend of romance and tension and slow burn and spice, and it just, oh god. Not only to mention that this is going to introduce you to one of your all-time favorite book boyfriends ever. Yeah, I said it. It has got a little bit of everything sprinkled into one book, and it's fast-paced, it's action-packed. This is a fantasy that's going to have you hook, line and sinker. If you are wanting a trilogy that is super easy to read, a brilliant place to start would be Once Upon a Broken Heart. Now this is about a girl who makes a deal with a fate. And it's a super enchanting, magical world, but also has got a plot that you cannot predict, that you just have no idea where it's going to go. It's got a relationship dynamic in there that you are going to be rooting for with your entire heart and soul. And it just feels magical and enchanting and gorgeous, and it truly is escapism at its finest. Now, if you've seen everybody talking about Sarah J Maas books and you're thinking there's literally 3 series, they've all got different books, where do I start? I've heard so many different things about reading orders, etc, etc. Then this is what I think. I personally think that the best place to start with Sarah J Maas books is with A Court of Thorns and Roses, this series in particular. Now, I say this because if you start with Throne of Glass, yes, those books she wrote first, so the writing is a little bit more juvenile and also a little bit easier to understand. However, there are so many books in that series, literally an 8-book series. People say different things about the reading order that it just becomes a little bit overwhelming, a little bit confusing, I personally think. And also the series does, for quite a lot of people, take a lot of books to actually get into the plot and into the story. And so therefore, if it's your first experience of Sarah's work, you might lose interest. So I think the best place to start is with A Court of Thorns and Roses. This is a series of 5 books. Initially, some people find this book a little bit hard to get into. So do bear that in mind. If you are having that kind of experience, you're not alone. A lot of people do have that. I personally did love this book, but I know that's a little bit of a minority opinion. But this book truly, truly, truly ramps up with the second half. So if you get halfway in and you're thinking, oh, I don't know if this is for me, please, I beg you, if I ask you one thing in your entire life, just get through the book. Get through the book, and then at the end, try and tell me you are not invested. Try and tell me you do not pick up book 2 straight away, because this is going to take your world by storm. I guarantee by the time you get to the end of this book, you're going to be eat, breathe, sleeping with this whole entire series. It's going to live rent-free in your mind 24/7, and you're not going to want to escape. Ever. And a duology that I'm going to give a little honourable mention to is actually These Hollow Vows by Lexi Ryan. This is a book that's full of secrets, that has got lots of twists and turns, that's fast-paced, that's sexy. So in this book, her sister is taken by the Unseelie King, and in order to get her back, she poses as a potential bride for the prince. The plot proceeds from there, and this is just an absolutely fantastic time and a really great example of an easy to consume fantasy read. Now, if you like to live on the edge of your seat and you're looking for thriller recommendations, this is what I would recommend to you. First up, The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. What makes a really great thriller for me is a book that has got a plot twist that you cannot predict, that you cannot see coming. This book is a prime example of that. Now with these thrillers, I don't want to say too much about the plot because I personally think that thrillers are especially great if you go in blind, but this is literally about the housemaid, and it is so twisty that it's one of those ones that will have you reading all night long just because you want to know what twists are coming next, what's going to happen, and how everything can possibly conclude. It's the kind of read that actually feels light considering that it's a thriller, but one of those ones where you can just switch your brain off and completely escape into this crazy world. This next recommendation might seem a little touch overdone or a little bit predictable. I could not possibly make this video without including Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. This is a thriller classic. How would I explain this book? I would say this book is just It's unhinged. It's a roller coaster. There will be so many points throughout this book where your jaw will hit the floor and you will not be able to pick it back up again because you'll be like, how? How is this happening right now? Twist after twist after twist after twist. This story follows Nick and Amy on their 5th wedding anniversary. Amy disappears and the police suspect that it's Nick. So he finds himself asking questions like, who are you? And what have we done to each other? The story follows on from there and it's all about what has happened to his wife. Honestly, there's a reason why this gets talked about a lot. There's a reason why everybody has read this. It is brilliant. Nobody can take that away from this book. And it really is truly a thriller classic. Honestly, strap yourself in because you are in for one hell of a ride. Yeah. If you just want a good book, you're not necessarily wanting something that's strictly romance, that's strictly thriller, that doesn't necessarily fall into a specific kind of category for a book, you just want something that is good, and I've got a few books that might be up your street. Let's start with Spells for Forgetting by Adrian Young. This is a blend of genres. You've got a little bit of mystery, you've got a little bit of light fantasy, you've got thriller, you've got romance, you've got something that's going to tick a little bit of every box, and that overall is an absolutely sensational read. If you've never read any of Adrian's books before, she is a master at storytelling. Her books are gripping, thrilling, and so incredibly unique. This is a standalone, it's small, it is so atmospheric. There are so many different points in this book where you physically get chills and you're on the edge of your seat and you're feeling all of these feelings all within such a small book. It just honestly is amazing. If you want a great book, this is truly it. If you're looking for a book that feels both entertaining and emotive at the same time, then The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is an absolutely great read. It explores love, identity, self-discovery, and the dynamics between relationships, how they develop, all with a sprinkle of romance, a large helping of glamour. It's all about the glamorous and tumultuous life of a Hollywood icon. And little pieces of Evelyn's life are revealed brick by brick by brick by brick. This is genuinely a case of do not judge a book by its cover because this is so much more than the cover depicts it to be. Another tiny little book which I think is a great example of a great book but also a super easy, tiny, great book is From the Embers. Again, a little bit of a combination. You've got romance, you've got thriller in here. So easy to get through, but also full of twists and turns and surprisingly emotive and heartbreaking at the same time. Super quick read and a roller coaster filled with love, laughter, and heartbreak. What more could you want from a book? Now, if you're wanting a great book, but one that's gonna move you, that's gonna have you sobbing, then The Tattooist of Auschwitz is a must. This is one of those ones that's a page turner and is both easy to read and hard to read at the same time. It is gonna move you, it's gonna make you feel so many different things and take you on an emotional journey, but it's one of those stories that is gonna stay with you long after you've finished. And if you're looking for a book that's gonna make you feel things, then this is a great place to start. And finally, if you are wanting to get into the self-help genre, then these are the books that I think would be a fantastic place to start your self-help journey. One of my all-time favourite self-help books is By Yourself, The Den Flowers by Tam Kaur. But this is equally a fantastic place to start if you're new to the genre because it feels like a super long voice note from your best friend filled with love and advice and care, but also that's super easy to implement into your life with profound aha moments and the kind of book that you're like, yeah, I'm gonna want to revisit this time and time and time again. The next book I'd recommend is Manifest by Roxy Nafousi. This is broken down into 7 easy to implement steps of how you can live your best life. This is about self-love, overcoming challenges, and overcoming self-sabotage. There's little exercises that you can do at the end of each chapter as well. Overall, so easy to get through, beautifully narrated, especially if you listen to it on audiobook, and is just an absolute slay of a self-help book. And finally, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway by Susan Jeffers is so unbelievably short, but is an absolute classic. And it really gives you an amazing foundation to start your self-help journey with. And it's just full of really great advice. Some things are gonna have you laughing, some things are gonna have you going, oh yeah, of course, that makes so much sense. Why have I not thought of that before? The simplicity of the wisdom in this is actually kind of mind-blowing, but it's also just one of those ones that's an absolute must, and you'll read it and you'll be like, yeah, this was a great place to start. So that's my recommendations if you're new to reading or you are looking to start new genres that you've never tried before. Hopefully there is a little bit of something in there for everybody. Thank you so much for watching as always. I'll be back next week, same time, with a new video. I hope you have an absolutely great one.